A movie so bone-crunchingly, brain-meltingly,
So a little less than 2
bowel-emptyingly
weeks ago, I put out a video about
right down there with the worst parts of the Joker's too. A film that is on itself and performance to its singularity of anti-entertainment and stretching minutes.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
I haven't seen this much controversy over a film in a very long time. I don't think there has been this much vitriol for a film since maybe Green Book or Crash. And all this noise is just getting to be too much. Yes, I know I'm adding on to it, but I hope to be one of the last words. So many people claim that the Academy Awards are a joke and should not be taken seriously. Yet when one film is released that is topical, receives as many accolades as Emilia Perez has, people feign outrage. Which one is it, people? Are the Oscars not relevant, or are they because you can't seem to stop talking about things like this? So I reviewed Emilia Perez back in November, and I gave it a slightly positive review. But even then, I had major issues with it. On my initial watch, I was caught up in its style and just how weird it was, as well as my severe crush for Selena Gomez. But I said in that review that I knew everyone would be talking about it in the future, and I was right. I've been seeing all of the negative backlash against this movie since it received all the Oscar nominations that it did, and I usually associate that with people just being upset about something that's just popular to be upset about. A trans woman nominated for Best Actress? How dare you? If anyone is coming here to make comments like this one, then get the hell out right now. When I saw that my favorite reviewer on this platform had done a review of this film and was very rough on it, I knew that I had to rewatch this movie and see if maybe I was wrong in my initial viewing. I must mention that I was inebriated the first time I saw Emilia Perez, so that probably helped enhance some of my enjoyment of it. But I went in this time sober and I took a lot of notes. If you're here for me to attack this movie because of alleged tweets made by actors or comments made by the director, you're in the wrong place. The art of today won't be this controversial 50 years from now, which is the same thing I said in my review of September 5 and its relation to current Middle East climate. If you're watching this because you want validation that a trans woman should not be nominated for Best Actress or any other talking point bullshit, then get the fuck out of here right now. I grade movies as an art piece and don't give a damn about anything surrounding that said art piece. Guess what? I liked the movie It Ends With Us, and look at all of the anger that has happened from that film. And you know why? Because the art sometimes just speaks for itself. I must preface that I am American, I do not speak Spanish, and I am not a member of the LGBTQ community. I'm just a white guy who loves movies. But with that said, let's begin with my re-review of Emilia Perez. The first scenes of the movie show the character Rita, played by Zoe Saldana, self-monologuing how no one in her law practice values all of her hard work. This is already an issue for me because it is just self-monologuing being used as exposition, and it doesn't flow naturally except to set up who this woman Rita is. Yes, she is shown as getting her client off for murdering his wife, but guess what? That's what lawyers do, whether we like it or not. So if your complaint is Rita gets no self-actualization for this, then you clearly don't know any criminal justice system at all. I just watched the movie Black Box Diaries yesterday, so if you want to bitch about criminal justice, then watch that documentary. Maybe it'll give the uninformed some much-needed education. When Rita receives a phone call from Benitez Del Monte in the bathroom and calls her to a meeting, this is when the first major song of the movie kicks in, which I really liked. It's blunt and funny and gets its point across. The only issue I have here is with how fast-paced everything is. This is something I will mention several times in this review. The song Rita is singing here shows she feels undervalued, but we don't see any real example of that for us to sink our teeth into. It's one of the many examples of telling and not showing in this movie. The meeting between Benitez and Rita is very brief, and Rita seems to accept the proposal without much thought. But more importantly, I would have liked to see why Benitez is so feared in this world. Rita says things about him to establish him as a threatening figure, but since we're never shown any of that and only told it, mixed in with that Benitez just seems very nice every second they are on the screen, it makes me feel placated to. Like, I could see immediately that this film is leaving all of its emotions out to dry, and I typically dislike movies like that. I think the makeup done on Carla Sofia Gascon in this sequence is very well done. It may be a little too on the nose, but it's still a good job. Once we're on the call to adventure and following Rita interviewing doctors about pricing for the sex change operation leads me to one of my biggest problems this movie has. The songs are too talk-sing for my taste. I like how weird some of the songs are, but most of them just come off as weird for the sake of being weird. And it does come off as TikTok singing and dancing rather than actual musical form for most of the songs. But I must admit that the presentation and style of the musical scenes are amazing. I said in my initial review that there's something about the Mexican dance that I do find appealing, and I stand by that. But now that I have rewatched the movie, it's really only the first song in the bathroom and the one at the charity dinner that stands out for me. Basically, what I'm saying is that I think Zoe Saldana steals this movie. She is great. I do find it weird that when she is searching for a doctor, she is threatened for indulging too much without getting any results by a group of people putting a plastic bag over her head. Yet she seems unfazed by this the next day and continues building a friendship with Emilia throughout the film. That seemed like an odd character decision to me. If my life would have been threatened like that, I don't believe I would befriend the person who facilitated that. But maybe that's just me. Once Rita finds a doctor from Manitas, we are briefly introduced to Jessie, who is played by Selena Gomez. I know that her Spanish in this movie is really bad, or at least I've been told that it is, but unfortunately I can't comment on that because I do not speak Spanish. If it is true though, that is the fault of the director for not identifying that or calling it out. She has quite a few scenes with Gascon and Saldana, so why didn't the actresses point that out? Or if they did, maybe we just didn't see that. I didn't see any of the making of this movie, so I'm not sure. I wish I could comment on this more, but I can't because I just don't speak Spanish. All I can do is take the word of the people I trust that her Spanish is bad in this movie, and I blame the director for that. The first 40 minutes of Emilia Perez are so fast-paced, and there are only basically small brushstrokes made to make you aware of the situation. Nothing has any real pathos behind it. It doesn't give you any time to fully appreciate or care what the three main characters are going through. I think the film needed to either slow down so we could have that needed emotion, or started the movie at a different point. But as it is right now, it just seems like the first half of the movie is just a bunch of shit happening. Has anyone else noticed that the songs are too short? I feel the songs don't last long enough to give them full life. It's like they're only there to quickly make their point, then move on to the next thing. Again, it goes back to me saying earlier that this film is just too fast-paced. I think it's in too much of a hurry, and instead of wanting to give you that time to think, it just says, you saw that, now let's hurry up and move on to what we want you to see next. With the exception of El Mal, I hope I pronounced that correctly, which is easily the best song in the movie, I just don't know why we aren't allowed to enjoy the musical scenes more. Wicked came out at nearly the same time as Emilia Perez, and that movie gave its songs lots of time to flourish. Emilia Perez is just so frantic. I said in my initial review that my biggest criticism was that post-sex change, there is no growth between Emilia and Jessie. No consequence or pathos about this new reality they are living in. And now I feel more that way. Emilia and Jessie have basically two scenes together. One where they have a surface-level conversation about her marriage to Manitas and how she viewed them. The other is the one where they have their falling out near the end of the movie. Jessie starts back up an old fling she had before she moved from Mexico City, and immediately decides to get married to this guy. Yet in the one scene Emilia and Selena have together that is quote-unquote normal, she says she was crazy for her husband. Which one is it? Did you ever love him? Why the hell were you so devastated when he was allegedly killed, even though you had a fling with another person right before he faked his death? It just seems like the writing just wanted to give Selena Gomez's character something to do. That affair and relationship she has with this new man seem very tacked on. Speaking of being tacked on, so is the relationship Emilia has with a woman whose husband's remains were recovered by Emilia's charity. There is a song Emilia sings about love, but her new relationship has no service paid to it except for some brief lovey-dovey stuff. Nothing about this movie has teeth with its subject matter. It just wants to throw images out there and hope you'll care about the surface-level material it is showing you. Like Emilia's children, for example. They are the whole reason the second half of the story happens. She can't be away from her children, right? But except for 2 or 3 very short scenes with them, and one song about how Emilia smells like Papa, we don't get any parental building with the kids and neither of their parents. They're just there to be a small plot device, in my opinion. This movie is so scatterbrained and nothing feels sincere except for the performance by Zoe Saldana and a few of the songs. I also like the visual style of this movie, but this movie just feels like it is just not made for us, the consuming audience. It just feels like it was made for elitists who don't care about true storytelling. All 3 characters feel detached from each other for most of the movie, and I don't feel any chemistry between the 3 of them, except for maybe Emilia and Zoe Saldana's character. It just seems like they did their performances separate from each other and only came together because the rules of the script demanded that they do so. If I attack films like Reagan and Bonhoeffer for being insincere, I have to do the same for Emilia Perez. I do think that Emilia Perez is way better than those 2 films are, but if you divorce yourself from the actors, especially Zoe Saldana, I feel like I'm watching a director give himself oral sex for 2 hours and 10 minutes. It's self-relating like I haven't seen in a long time. People thought that Megalopolis was a self-blowjob by Francis Ford Coppola. I challenge you to keep that stance after watching this movie. I love Megalopolis in spite of it being in love with itself. I reject most of Emilia Perez though because it's so in love with itself. I wrote about 4 pages of notes for this movie, and I can go on and on about all of the other things that I wrote down while watching this movie a second time, but I think you get the idea. I'm not jumping on the bandwagon with this because I don't actually hate this movie. I just view it as precisely what it is, a movie not made for lowly people like me. It's made to win awards, so whatever. It's a zeitgeist movie, and to be honest, I wouldn't be mad if Zoe Saldana won her Best Supporting Actress nomination. She's the best part of this movie by leaps and bounds. Carlos Sophia Gascon is good too, but she's just presented as someone we are supposed to like by default, without ever giving us true reasons to care about her. The performance of Emilia Perez, the character, is very good, but since I believe the writing of her character is so insincere, it loses me completely. In summary, this is not as bad as everyone is saying that it is. It is not the worst Oscar-nominated film to ever be released. Did anyone ever see the movie The Towering Inferno or John Wayne being nominated for True Grit? And guess what? Shakespeare in Love was not that great of a movie either, and it also received 13 Academy Award nominations like Emilia Perez did. It's not a good movie, guys. I'm sorry. The Oscars have been fucking up for decades. This is just another example of them not understanding the real world. But this is not news to anyone who pays attention. I don't get mad for how out of touch they are, because you know what? They're here to entertain me and you. And when they don't, we all rightfully call them out on it. This isn't the first time we've seen them make stupid decisions, and it won't be the last either. So everyone please calm the fuck down. And to the people who are only ragging on this film because they are homophobes, you just need to go the fuck away. You know who you are. Emilia Perez is an ambitious film with its subject matter, but a film that falls all over itself due to only paying lip service to the ideas it is conveying. A wonderful performance by Zoe Saldana and 2 good songs only highlight more how disappointed this film made me feel on a second watch. It's okay if you don't like this movie, but make sure you don't like it for the right reasons. It's 2025, people. Having a trans woman being nominated for Best Actress is a stupid argument you need to get over. It's an art piece. It doesn't give a shit that you're mad that it's about a trans woman. The other things it is being attacked for, like its misrepresentation of Hispanic life and Selena Gomez's performance, I can't comment on those, unfortunately, and I'm not even going to try to. Just please learn to think for yourself and don't join the hive mind because it's cool to hate on something. This film didn't hold up for me on a second watch, but I still stand by everything I said in my initial positive review because it's okay if your feelings change about a movie. There are many movies I have seen that I liked the first time and didn't like the second, and vice versa. So watch this movie and make up your own mind. Fuck all the loud noises that surround it. I give Emilia Perez 2 stars out of 4. It is the weakest of the 10 nominated films for Best Picture, and unlike most of the people complaining right now, I have seen all 10 nominated films. Anyway, I hope this can be the last time that I talk about Emilia Perez, except for when I do my Academy Awards roundup video, which is coming out very soon. The Oscars may not matter, but I do like it when the artists I admire get awarded, like Mikey Madison, for instance. The awards themselves can be valid while the pageantry can be stupid. Both things can be true at the same time. It is possible to have 2 thoughts going on simultaneously. Anyway, if you like this, please like and subscribe. Here's links to my other videos. Follow me on social media if you like. And until next time, I am Ghost.